Charles "Lucky" Luciano, the mobster who organized crime. Welcome to The Rise and Fall of Lucky Luciano, a journey through the life of one of the most notorious figures in the history of organized crime. Our story begins in the early 20th century, in the bustling streets of New York City. In the late 19th century, on the rugged landscapes of Sicily, a young boy named Salvatore Lucania was born on November 24, 1897. Little did the world know that this boy, later known as Charles "Lucky" Luciano, would become a notorious figure in the annals of organized crime. Our journey begins with Luciano's early life and his family's immigration to the vibrant yet unforgiving streets of New York. Seeking a better life, Salvatore's family embarked on a perilous journey across the Atlantic, joining the waves of immigrants arriving on the shores of the United States. Their destination, the Lower East Side of Manhattan, a melting pot of cultures and dreams. The Lucania family, like many others, faced the challenges of adapting to a new culture, language, and way of life. The crowded tenements and bustling streets of New York City became the backdrop for Salvatore's formative years. The Lower East Side was a mosaic of poverty, hope, and adversity. Salvatore, now Charles, witnessed the hardships faced by his family and neighbors. The struggles of immigrant life planted the seeds of resilience and resourcefulness in young Luciano. It was in this environment that Luciano encountered the harsh realities of urban life, forging his understanding of power, survival, and the importance of alliances. Luciano's street smarts and charisma soon caught the attention of local gangs. His ability to navigate the intricacies of the neighborhood earned him a reputation as a shrewd and enterprising young man. As he grew older, Luciano became entangled in the world of petty crime, a path that would eventually lead to his entry into organized crime. The street corners of the Lower East Side served as both a playground and a classroom for Luciano, shaping the mindset that would propel him into the echelons of criminal enterprise. The onset of Prohibition in the 1920s transformed the criminal landscape, providing opportunities for those willing to exploit the illicit alcohol trade. Luciano seized this moment, recognizing the potential for wealth and power in organized crime. Luciano's strategic mindset and knack for networking propelled him into the ranks of the burgeoning mafia. He aligned himself with influential figures like Meyer, Lansky, and Costello, laying the foundation for a criminal empire that would soon dominate the city. Luciano's reputation grew, and he earned the moniker Lucky due to his uncanny ability to avoid arrest and navigate the dangerous underworld. His charisma and keen business sense distinguished him as a rising star in the criminal hierarchy. The early chapters of Luciano's life laid the groundwork for a criminal mastermind, setting the stage for the turbulent years that would follow. As we delve into the early life and immigration of Charles "Lucky" Luciano, we witness the shaping of a complex character against the backdrop of a changing world. Join us in the next installment as we explore Luciano's ascent to power, the formation of the Commission, and the challenges that would ultimately lead to his downfall. As the Roaring Twenties unfolded, a new era dawned on the streets of America, an era of jazz, flappers, and an illicit underbelly that thrived on the shadows of Prohibition. In the midst of this tumultuous time, a young man named Salvatore Lucania, known to the world as Lucky Luciano, began to etch his name into the annals of organized crime. The Lower East Side of Manhattan in the 1910s was a melting pot of cultures, dreams, and desperation. It was here that Lucky Luciano, a name that would soon echo through the corridors of power and crime alike, honed his skills on the unforgiving streets. Luciano's early life was a struggle against poverty and the harsh realities of immigrant existence. Drawn into the world of juvenile delinquency, he quickly gained a reputation for his street smarts and ability to navigate the perilous terrain of the Lower East Side. The enactment of Prohibition in 1920 was a catalyst for the rise of organized crime. As the sale of alcoholic beverages became illegal, a lucrative black market emerged, and with it, opportunities for those willing to exploit the newfound demand. Lucky Luciano, along with his close associates Meyer, Lansky, and Costello, recognized this as a gateway to power and wealth. Luciano's foray into the world of organized crime was marked by the illicit trade of alcohol, a business that required cunning, resourcefulness, and a network of connections. Bootlegging operations sprang up across the city, and Luciano quickly became a key player in this underground economy, transporting and distributing alcohol to speakeasies and consumers alike. His ability to adapt and exploit the loopholes of Prohibition-era laws allowed Luciano to amass wealth and power, contributing to the intricate web of organized crime that defined the era. Luciano's ambitions extended beyond bootlegging. He diversified his criminal portfolio by entering the realm of gambling and racketeering. Establishing illegal casinos and betting parlors to labor union manipulation, he ensured a steady stream of income while solidifying his influence over the criminal landscape. One of the defining partnerships of Luciano's rise in the underworld was his alliance with Meyer, Lansky and Frank Costello, an Italian-American gangster. The trio, often referred to as the architects of modern organized crime, complemented each other's skills. Lansky, with his financial wisdom, Costello, a suave and diplomatic figure, complemented Luciano's leadership style, and Luciano, with his ability to bridge ethnic divides within the criminal underworld, showcased his knack for strategic thinking and coalition building. Formed a formidable alliance that would shape the future of the American Mafia. Together, they formed a formidable trio, pooling resources and connections to dominate the lucrative bootlegging market. In October 1929, Luciano was forced into a limousine at gunpoint by 3 men, beaten and stabbed, and strung up by his hands from a beam in a warehouse in Staten Island. He survived the ordeal, but was forever marked with a scar and droopy eye. The identity of his abductors was never established. When picked up by the police after the beating, Luciano said that he had no idea who did it. However, in 1953, Luciano told an interviewer that it was the police who kidnapped and beat him in an attempt to find Jack Legs Diamond. Another story was that Maranzano ordered the attack. Luciano's ascent was not without challenges. The Castellammarese War, a power struggle between rival mafia factions, threatened the stability of the criminal underworld. As Luciano expanded his influence in the underworld, he recognized the need for unity among Italian-American criminal factions. In 1929, the Big Seven, a coalition of powerful mafia families, was established, solidifying Luciano's status as a rising force within the mafia. Luciano, recognizing the need for a unified front, orchestrated the formation of the Commission. This governing body brought together major mafia leaders and laid the groundwork for a more organized and cooperative criminal syndicate. With the establishment of the Commission, Luciano solidified his position as a leader within the American Mafia. His strategic thinking and ability to mediate disputes among rival factions showcased his talent for organizational leadership. Under his guidance, the Mafia transformed from a loose association of criminal elements into a structured and disciplined syndicate. As Lucky Luciano's criminal saga unfolded, he emerged as a visionary leader who understood the evolving landscape of organized crime. His rise in the underworld marked a turning point, not only in the history of the American Mafia but also in the broader context of criminal enterprises worldwide. As the 1920s came to a close, tensions within the American Mafia reached a boiling point. The Old World Sicilian factions, led by Joe the Boss Masuria, clashed with the new breed of criminals, including Salvatore Maranzano and his Castellammarese allies. The struggle for dominance ignited a war that would leave an indelible mark on the history of organized crime. Lucky Luciano had risen to prominence within the Mafia ranks. However, internal tensions erupted into what would be known as the Castellammarese War. The conflict, pitting Sicilian factions against each other, threatened to destabilize the criminal organization. Luciano recognized the need for a more unified and organized mafia. The Castellammarese War was, at its core, a power struggle between the old guard and the up-and-coming forces within the mafia. On one side stood Masuria, a traditionalist with deep roots in Sicilian mafia traditions, and on the other, Maranzano and his Castellammarese associates, who sought to challenge the established order. Lucky Luciano, a rising force within the mafia, found himself caught in the crossfire of the Castellammarese War. Recognizing the need for a strategic approach to protect his interests and ensure the survival of the American Mafia, Luciano carefully navigated the treacherous waters, weighing his options and calculating the best course of action. Luciano's diplomatic skills became a linchpin in navigating the complexities of the conflict. While initially aligned with Masuria, Luciano saw the potential for a more stable and profitable mafia under a unified leadership. Sensing an opportunity for change, he began secretly negotiating with Maranzano, seeking a resolution to the internal strife that threatened to tear the mafia apart. The turning point in the Castellammarese War came on April 15, 1931, a night that would be forever remembered as the Night of the Palms. Salvatore Maranzano orchestrated a series of coordinated strikes against Meyer and his loyalists, ultimately leading to Meyer's assassination at the Nuova Villa Tamaro restaurant in Coney Island. With Meyer out of the picture, Salvatore Maranzano emerged as the de facto leader of the American Mafia. Maranzano reorganized the Italian-American gangs in New York City into 5 families headed by Luciano, Profici, Gagliano, Vincent Mangano, and himself. Maranzano called a meeting of crime bosses in Wappingers Falls, New York, where he declared himself capo di tutti capi. However, Luciano, always the strategist, understood that replacing one autocrat with another was not the solution. Maranzano's vision of a highly centralized and hierarchical mafia clashed with Luciano's idea of a more decentralized and cooperative syndicate. Fearing Maranzano's consolidation of power, Luciano devised a countermove. Realizing that Maranzano had become a threat to the very ideals he sought to preserve within the mafia, Luciano orchestrated a daring plan to eliminate Maranzano and pave the way for a new era of organized crime. On September 10, 1931, Luciano's plan came to fruition. Under the guise of a meeting to discuss mafia affairs, a group of gunmen disguised as cops, led by Jewish mobster Bugsy Siegel and Italian hitman Vito Genovese, stormed Maranzano's office. The swift and ruthless attack resulted in Maranzano's death, effectively ending the Castellammarese War and signaling the dawn of a new era. In the aftermath of the Castellammarese War, Lucky Luciano, along with his allies, seized the opportunity to reshape the power structure of the American Mafia. The Commission, a governing body consisting of the most influential mafia leaders, was established during the Atlantic City Conference in 1931. Luciano emerged as a key figure in this new order, solidifying his role as a visionary leader in the world of organized crime. The Castellammarese War, though marked by bloodshed and betrayal, ultimately paved the way for the modernization of the American Mafia. As we move forward in our documentary series, we will explore the consequences of this conflict, including Luciano's collaboration with the U.S. government during World War II and his legacy that echoes through the corridors of power even today. Join us as we unravel the intricate threads of Lucky Luciano's life and the ever-evolving landscape of organized crime in the 20th century. As the dust settled on the tumultuous landscape of the Castellammarese War, Lucky Luciano found himself at the helm of a transformed American Mafia also known as La Cosa Nostra. The aftermath of the Castellammarese War ushered in a new era for the American Mafia. Lucky Luciano, having orchestrated the demise of both Joe Meyer and Salvatore Maranzano, now sought to bring stability and structure to the criminal underworld. The Commission, born out of necessity, became the linchpin for a more organized and cooperative mafia. In 1931, Luciano convened the Atlantic City Conference, a historic gathering that would shape the future of the American Mafia. Representing the various mafia families across the United States, the conference aimed to establish a governing body that could mediate disputes, coordinate criminal activities, and ensure the smooth operation of the mafia syndicate. The Commission emerged from the Atlantic City Conference as the embodiment of Luciano's vision for a more organized mafia. Comprising the heads of the major mafia families, the Commission served as a governing body that brought structure, discipline, and cooperation to an organization that had previously been marked by internal strife and power struggles. Lucky Luciano's leadership during this period was characterized by pragmatism and a keen understanding of organizational dynamics. As the de facto leader of the Commission, Luciano fostered an environment of collaboration, emphasizing the need for unity to ensure the mafia's continued prosperity. With the Commission in place, the American Mafia underwent a period of diversification. Luciano, along with his trusted associates Meyer, Lansky, and Frank Costello, expanded the syndicate's operations beyond traditional avenues such as bootlegging and gambling. The mafia began infiltrating labor unions, construction projects, and other legitimate industries, solidifying its presence in various sectors of American society. Amidst the criminal activities, an unexpected twist in Lucky Luciano's story emerged during World War II. In 1942, with the United States fully engaged in the global conflict, Luciano's legal troubles presented a unique opportunity for collaboration between the American Mafia and the U.S. In 1936, Luciano had been convicted on charges of compulsory prostitution and sentenced to 30 to 50 years in prison. However, the landscape changed when the U.S. government, facing wartime challenges, saw an opportunity to leverage Luciano's influence within the mafia to aid the war effort. Luciano's prison sentence became a bargaining chip. The U.S. Naval Intelligence Office, recognizing the potential value of Luciano's connections and organizational skills, approached him with a proposal. In exchange for his assistance in protecting the New York waterfront from potential Axis sabotage, Luciano would receive a commutation of his sentence. Luciano's collaboration with the U.S. government proved to be a surprising success. Through his mafia contacts, he provided valuable intelligence that helped thwart potential threats to the vital New York harbor. The collaboration showcased the unorthodox partnerships that emerged during times of war and highlighted the pragmatism of both organized crime and government officials. In 1946, following the conclusion of World War II, Lucky Luciano's debt to society was repaid with his release from prison. However, his unexpected collaboration with the U.S. government left a lasting impact on the perception of organized crime and hinted at the intricate relationships between criminals and those sworn to uphold the law. Despite his contributions to the war effort, Luciano's return to a normal life in the United States was thwarted by immigration authorities. Facing deportation to Italy, Luciano settled in Naples, continuing to exert influence over the American Mafia from afar. Lucky Luciano's life showcased the evolution of the American Mafia into a more organized and diversified criminal enterprise. The establishment of the Commission marked a turning point, bringing stability to an organization that had long been plagued by internal conflicts. Luciano's partnership with the U.S. government during World War II, though unconventional, demonstrated the flexibility and pragmatism that defined his leadership. As the sun set on the tumultuous mid-20th century, Lucky Luciano found himself in an unexpected chapter of his life. In 1946, Salvatore "Lucky" Luciano, once the undisputed leader of the American Mafia, returned to Italy in a form of exile enforced by the U.S. government. As he stepped onto Italian soil, it marked the beginning of a new phase in his life, far removed from the streets of New York where he had once wielded unparalleled power. Naples, Italy, became Luciano's new home. The bustling city with its historic charm and vibrant culture presented a stark contrast to the urban sprawl of New York. Luciano, now in his late 40s, navigated the unfamiliar terrain of his ancestral homeland, seeking to rebuild his life in a country he had left as a child. Despite the geographical distance, Luciano's influence over the American Mafia persisted. Through communication channels and emissaries, he maintained a level of control and leadership, advising on key decisions and maintaining his role as a guiding force for the syndicate. His impact on the American Mafia stretched across continents, a testament to the enduring nature of his legacy. Luciano, ever the shrewd strategist, sought avenues for legitimacy in his newfound home. He invested in legal businesses, including restaurants and clubs, attempting to shed the criminal notoriety that had defined his past. This transition from the underworld to legitimate enterprises mirrored the broader trajectory of organized crime figures seeking respectability. Luciano, now surrounded by European high society, integrated into a different social stratum. His charisma and charm, once employed in the criminal underworld, now found new audiences among the European elite. However, the shadow of his criminal past lingered, a reminder of the duality that defined his life. As Luciano settled into his life in Italy, the American Mafia continued to evolve. The post-war era witnessed the rise of new leaders and the expansion of organized crime into various industries. Luciano's legacy, though impactful, faced challenges from within and external pressures as law enforcement intensified efforts to dismantle the Mafia. In the early 1950s, the United States Senate convened the Kefauver hearings, investigating organized crime and its influence on American society. Luciano, despite being thousands of miles away, became a central figure in the hearings, a symbol of the Mafia's reach and impact. The hearings shed light on the inner workings of the American Mafia and fueled public interest in organized crime. On January 26, 1962, in Naples, Italy, Charles "Lucky" Luciano passed away at the age of 64 of a heart attack. His death marked the end of an era and left a void in the American Mafia's leadership. Luciano's funeral in Naples attracted attention from both sides of the Atlantic, a final chapter in the life of a man who had shaped the course of organized crime in the 20th century. Lucky Luciano's legacy is as multifaceted as the man himself. From the Lower East Side of Manhattan to the streets of Naples, his life journey reflects the complexities of power, ambition, and the blurred lines between the legitimate and the criminal. The American Mafia, now facing increased scrutiny and law enforcement pressure, underwent a series of transformations in the post-Luciano era. The old guard gave way to a new generation of leaders, and the syndicate adapted to changing times. The Mafia's influence persisted, but the landscape was forever altered. I hope you enjoyed this mini-documentary. My next one will be about Al Capone. If you want to see more documentaries, don't forget to subscribe and put the notifications on. Subscribing will also help me out a lot in reaching my first milestone of 1K viewers. I also made some Lucky Luciano merchandise, and the link of my Teespring store will be in the description. If you like funny video compilations, don't forget to watch my Wise Guys Entertainment channel. The link will also be in the description. I hope to see you all on the next documentary. Goodbye.